Oh, so it's my turn to introduce us. Okay, so here we are, obstacle illusion, September 2nd, 2021. I almost said 2012. My visual mind dyslexia.
I was filling out a form for Grace for school or something, and I signed it like August 27th, 2002.
2000. Doesn't it make you wonder, like, what happened on that day? Like, Grace wasn't even born in 2002.
I was like, that was a really long time ago. And why did I think it was 2002? It just like,
it just flew out.
Oh, I know what it was.
It is because time isn't real.
That's right.
And it is 2002 right in this very moment.
It was the piece of paper she holds up. I always take a picture first day of school. So it was like first day of school, you know, it was August 24th, 2002. And
that would really
Sharpie, I just like crossed it out. So like,
that's hilarious. And mom has no idea what reality she's in right
now. She starts a lot earlier than, you know, like she has to be at school by 8. So that was early.
Yeah, that's early. Totally.
Okay. Yes. Obstacle illusion.
Yes. And we're on the journey to living your purpose, which is a very circuitous journey based on our introduction this morning. The last meeting, last whatever this is that we call it, we were talking about, you know, leading everybody on a journey to finding your purpose. And so
let me just interrupt. Living your purpose, not just finding it.
That's true.
We're on the journey to living it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that tells me that like finding it needs to be one of these little doodads on this thing. But anyway, so we're working out this journey in real time with you because we have prepared nothing in advance, which is typical of how we operate. You actually get our best work when we are underprepared and exhausted. We have determined this. And so we are hitting both of those marks today, underprepared and exhausted. Which
not exhausted, but I am underprepared. So
well, I'm the exhausted one, you're the underprepared one. So it's a win-win all the way around.
But I just would have to point out why the underpreparedness works for us. And that Absolutely. Is because when you prepare, we're underprepared in some ways and not underprepared in others, right? Because
Absolutely.
It's if you prepare a lot in the traditional sense, it's a lot of mental work, and it's a lot of egoic work. If you're prepared in the other sense, it means that you've done your work to get to this point where you can stand in the moment and trust that, you know, it gets to the spirit-led part, trust that your best work is going to come through when you put that mental thing away. So it just Absolutely. So happens that when that combines with these, the underpreparedness looks like we aren't sure what the subject is for the day.
Totally. And actually the same is totally exactly true for me in exhaustion. Like my clients actually get some of my best work because I when I get to a certain level of insomnia, exhaustion, whatever, that again, that egoic part of my mind that's like trying to figure it all out and have all the answers is just like, I'm too tired, can't do it. And then it allows this opening for something else to drop in, which is actually closer to what I consider the truth than what I might be saying in that moment if I were, you know, completely prepared and had been mentally thinking in advance of like, okay, this is going to be really smart to tell my client today in our session. All that goes out the window and it's like, boom, actually, hey, I have a sense this is exactly what you need to hear, which is not what I would have prepared, you know, going in. And so that it's exactly kind of the same. It just manifests differently for both of us in the way that we live and work and operate. But
and then, I mean, just to keep off topic even longer, I would then just throw out there as a consideration that you've recognized this, but perhaps you don't need that anymore, right?
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's like that idea of a starving artist, like you get your best work if you're a starving artist. Okay, really. Maybe that's true, but perhaps you don't need that anymore. Like you're at the place on your path that maybe you don't need the exhaustion in order to
Do the best work.
to do your best work. And so
Yeah.
that might be a thing that you might need to rework with your belief system and your guides and all of that, just to be like, okay, got it, but I don't need that crutch anymore.
No, I certainly don't want it anymore. I'm ready.
And then like, again, like then you have to have faith and trust and willingness that you can let that go and trust that you will still be able to bring through those nuggets for
Absolutely.
your clients.
Absolutely. Totally. So yes, you want to share the screen and show our esteemed audience members this, or should we just dive into dealing, checking out maybe around the doubt and uncertainty around actually believing you have a purpose when you can't see it?
Yeah, I mean, I could do either.
What do you guys want to see? Do you want to see our mind map? Nicola, Mary, do you guys want to see our mind map? Doesn't matter to me.
What would be the alternative? You continue with your talk.
Yeah, we just continue rambling.
You can do either of them. I love to see you. I love to see your mind map. It's whatever you like.
Yeah, what was the alternative? It was to just go. It was to discuss the belief. What was it?
Yeah, so last session we really did touch on this, believing that you actually do have a purpose, right? And like that being kind of one of the, not one of the very first step. Like if you're going to live a purposeful life, a life on purpose, a life of purpose, if you're going to express your purpose through your life, you actually have to believe that you have a purpose, right? And we live in a world where a lot of people believe that they're here as out of chance and chaos, just random evolution got us to this point, and here we are. And so, from that belief set, it's really difficult to think that you do have a purpose, that there is any purpose to any life whatsoever. And everyone has like no judgment. Like if that's what you believe, that there is no purpose to life, then that's what you believe. And that's totally fine. I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but through my own, life and journey and what I've decided for myself, and is that there is a purpose for my life, and more than one purpose, frankly. But, if we can just speak in that term, like my life has a purpose. And there might be, many little arms to that purpose, or fingers, or whatever you want to, toes, I don't know, branches, and that the purpose is evolving as I evolve and change and grow. But it is an overarching purpose that leads, for me, it leads in the direction of service. And whatever that service may be. Yeah. There's lots of different, ways to look at it.
And I think some somewhat helpful bridge for people is, if you don't have the belief that you have a purpose, but you are struggling, or you want to see what that might be like, is just to play. You don't have to believe that you have a purpose, but it's like, would you be willing to play with the idea that you might have a purpose? And that willingness to play with it is both a consent, and it helps the ego, because the ego doesn't have to believe anything different, but it just has to be willing to, it can hold on to the idea that, okay, we're just trying this out, right? Like there's no harm in trying it out. And so that's just the piece that I would throw out, is just like, if you're struggling to believe that your life could have purpose, and you're struggling, and so you're kind of open to playing with some ideas, like just be open to playing with the idea that it might have a purpose. And then there's this kind of mind map / framework / journey that we've really, it is mapped out according to how we see it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that power of possibility, right? You're
Mhm.
playing in that place of possibility. And because it's play, there aren't nearly as many shoulds or fears of failure or whatever. It's like, oh, well, just gamify it, make it into a game
Mhm.
and have fun with it. And if it doesn't feel good, then you don't have a purpose and just go back to your life and that's fine.
Mhm. Mhm. And then the other component too, I think, and we probably touched on this last time, or I'm pretty sure we did, is this. I love the play part and the like take the weight out of purpose.
Yeah.
Like take the weight out of this idea that your purpose is some grandiose thing and that it's going to like
Totally.
smack you on the head and you're going to be like, ta-da, I'm supposed to
Mhm.
start an orphanage and da-da, like that that through this process, like even that is like letting go of this idea that it's anything other and just letting it unfold. Like that's a
That's
willingness,
totally true.
and the power of both the play part actually is just
Mhm.
like holding it loosely and just being like and
Mhm.
not putting more value on running an orphanage over smiling at everyone you see, right?
Totally.
Like
Totally.
there's
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it takes
Right.
everything, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think those are the key points. I think that might be one of the basic elemental parts. Too bad Debbie's not here with us today. About, why this feels daunting is that, we do have all of these preconceived ideas about what our purpose, quote unquote, should be. And it could very well be to just smile at every person you see from now until eternity. And it could also be that it's to open an orphanage, or it could also be that it's to, send people to Mars. I don't know. But yeah, but we have all these ideas. And again, that goes back to actually what we were talking about in the sacred sanctuary yesterday about this idea of like comparing ourselves to other people's quote unquote successes. And so we see people out in the world who are quote unquote successful living their purpose. And then we feel like it's got to be this thing that other people can see or that the world knows about or that makes money or, we talked about this last time about, your purpose does not need to be connected to your income by any stretch. I personally find that it can be more fun, although it can also be way more challenging and way more heavy when it's connected to that. It's an extra weight.
I
It's an
think
extra level of perceived responsibility, perhaps.
it takes the play, it has the potential to take the play aspect out of it because when money's involved there, we tend to go into a seriousness factor.
Yeah, totally.
But that seriousness factor then also closes us down, which is the opposite of abundance. And so it's so paradoxical and
Yeah.
and interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote down some good notes. Basically, I'm gonna build our mind map based on your talking.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I love this idea of play and just loosening up, like letting go of the reins a little bit and just kind of having that like what if mentality and what might be, what could be possible if fill in the blank, if I just let go of every need to know how, and just said, okay, I'm willing to be shown.
yeah, that is huge. And if I can just I don't know, put another visual to it, it's energetically the difference. When we talk about play, there is a looseness to it, right? There's there's sorry, it's all there, but not quite verbal. when we're serious, when we think there's high stakes, when we're taking ourselves very seriously, energetically, there's a lot of contraction, right? There's contraction. There can be a sense of needing, wanting protection, right? You are then aligned with looking a certain way or being a certain way or coming across a certain way. And so if that gets mistaken, barriers can go up, and there's a ton of contraction in being serious. And when you're in the energy of play, when you're in the energy of, well, what if I do this? It really loosens you up and energetically opens you up so that you become much more expansive. And when you're much more expansive and your boundaries aren't so combined and limited, it allows you to interact with people differently, right? Because your field is larger, and so you get to reach more people. And it is also more of an abundant state. It is more of a stuff can flow to you, and so it really changes the way you experience and are experienced by the world, and it opens you up to more of what you want and less of what you don't. And it's less effort, like it's because that is more of your natural state, and that is the place from which the universe can better communicate and support you. You then are you're in alignment, and you're in alignment more often than you are from a contractive state. And it just, there's so much more flow and so much more. So it's like, it's just like, if you're going to do one thing, just, go out into the world with this sense of play and wonder and what is possible. That's the beginner's mind energy. You don't have everything figured out. Can you stand in that and be in awe of what is, as opposed to what your preconceived ideas of what they are and what they should be?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me just put my soapbox to the side.
Well, I love it. I think we're done. Anyone? So let's just open it up and talk to our beautiful people here if they have any comments or questions. Nicola. Yeah.
I liked your idea about the expansiveness of play, and it relates very much to yesterday evening. And I think too that it leads to more abundance, even if at the moment yes, the abundance is on very many levels. It's abundance of beauty, abundance of realizations, abundance of whatever. And I think what's difficult too, or what I would like to do, is to take this heaviness of the need of getting money out of what I do into this playfulness and getting this abundance of money too. And I'm playing with it, if you will. And I'm not at the end of my path, of course, but we will see. And I like very much this idea of the what ifs, because I think that opens up very much. And yesterday helped me very much to get out of that contraction in which I was during my move, and the what ifs in the negative sense of the word. And I prefer the other side, but sometimes life takes us to this what if on the other side. And I got exhausted and in overwhelm on a very strange level, not a used level, and I almost didn't get out of it, even if I tried every day. So thank you for yesterday, because it helped me very much. And I took you on my walk all together this morning, and it
Wonderful.
helped me do a lot of things today and find stuff that I didn't know where it was. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful and thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it's so true. Like our minds are wired to go to the negative what if places. It's actually, they think it's an evolutionary adaptation, right? It's if you're a monkey in a tree, you're looking out at the grasslands around you and you say, what if there's a lion there? And you're right, there's a lion there, you're safe, right? So it has an evolutionary advantage to always be sort of looking for the fearful aspects. And so when we just understand that that's the human nature, the way that our brains have evolved up to this point, is that we're in a moment of rapid rapid evolution in spiritual consciousness, but we still have this hard wiring of this old brain. And so that's where this radical acceptance comes in. And as soon as you see it, you can kind of do a chuckle. The thing that works for me is to just laugh at it and not take it all so seriously, and to realize like, oh man, I'm having some really destructive thoughts, and to see yourself in the moment and to be experiencing the thoughts, and then to be that observer that's 10 steps back and looking in and going, whoa, okay, let's rein this back in a little bit. And as the observer, then you can redirect and make jokes about it if that feels appropriate, and figure out what needs to change. Either it's to redirect your thoughts, or have a conversation with a friend and just do something different, pick up your paintbrush, like go for a walk, like whatever the thing is, but you can see it as and you just get better and better and better at seeing it. And then eventually and then when you start your day with a practice of, what if I discover a new aspect of my purpose today I didn't know existed, and then you go out on your walk and you're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Like a scavenger hunt. You're priming yourself to be in that place of receptivity, and in that place of openness, and in that place of play. And that's a conscious choice. Like, okay, this morning when I go out on my walk, I'm going to look for all the clues. And then you're going to find some flower you never saw before. You're going to pick, or something will be waiting for you on the ground, right? Like a note, a playing card, a toy, something. And then it's like, okay, I'm on the right track. So.
Go, Mary. Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. I'm on my phone because my computer didn't work. I came back to my apartment from a house sit with the cat, packing everything, getting up at 5 so I would be here for this, and then the computer wouldn't work. It's one of the, here's what happened in connection with what you're saying though. A little back thing is that I don't often get invited to a luncheon. I'm just not part of a group, but an older woman that I'd known invited a number of her friends to, when she came back into town a while back. By meeting some of those women, I ended up being asked to help caregive a woman with Alzheimer's in her home. Okay, that's the background. And so I've been doing that. And the one thing I want to say in relation to what you're saying is it's an absolute, what do you call it? A master class in being present to the moment and going with it and being creative and without judgment. And one example was last night, her daughter had brought in a couple of, coloring, like outlines of flowers and things, one of those coloring books with a whole bunch of colored pencils. I never do that. But because I don't do that at home. I'm an artist, but I don't do it. So I said, well, do you want to do that? Your daughter brought these. So we started to do it. And she said, no, I have to go out first for the roses. And I said, what do you mean? Well, and so we went out. She insisted on cutting, and I helped her red and yellow roses because she had started coloring red and yellow roses in the book, but she wanted to see them in person.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So being in, if I had said, no, it's too late or the mosquitoes are out, it's like all those, can I say fucking judgments? I guess I can. All those tiny little judgments we make about whatever. Yeah. And it's about letting go of control. And so this morning I got up at 4 because I needed to do laundry and pack at the house, the other house sit that I'm staying at, the cat. And the interesting thing about that is I sat and watched a movie for a while because I had a moment with the laundry. Packed the car, got in the car, and what did I see at the very corner, coming around the corner of the block where I was parked? 10 wild turkeys.
Oh, wow.
And what did that do for me? Because of my connection to the Native American communities in the past, I immediately sat there and just smiled and said, "Oh, abundance! Wow!" And I tried to take some photos and videos, and there was one male that was just kind of standing. Well, I don't know if it was babies or females, but 10 turkeys, and all I could think of, okay, everything's okay, abundance. Then I got here and couldn't get on my computer to see you, and couldn't get, but eventually, besides that, instead of, it's just like everything's okay. Each moment, this is enough. So I wanted to share that morning. And this amazing adventure of a job that has brought me incredible amount of money that I kind of have to hide because it's kind of temporary. But anyway, the point of it was not that I knew I wasn't doing it for the money. It's a daily thing of loving someone just as they are. I mean, in every moment, the same patterns day after day, changing everything every minute. You can't have any kind of, schedule. Can't have a schedule. And it's marvelous. It's a marvelous training for kind of what we're talking about. I feel like
it's beautiful. What a beautiful analogy. And it's like you can't have an agenda, right?
No,
it's like you just have to show up. No agenda.
Well, I say you want a puzzle, and she insisted on fitting a couple pieces into a puzzle first. And I said, well, let's try the books that your daughter can. No, I want to do this. And then she said, well, where are those books? But then it had to be the garden. And if she hadn't brought the garden in, the detail she put into those flowers on the page because of the flowers being there. And of course, we had to put the flowers in a vase also, by the way.
Of course.
So it was a path of creativity that I would not have followed otherwise. So it so fits with what you're saying. I hope it's okay to share that.
Yeah, and I love how you're actually like naming this as a creative process, right? Because this is exactly what it is. It's co-creative. Yes. You are creating in that sense of not when you have a preconceived idea of what you are creating, but you're open to the creative process itself. And that's a really beautiful way of thinking about it too.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It actually takes us back to the very beginning of, I think I like Mary's term of not having an agenda better than our term of being underprepared, right? because that's exactly how we started, was that we approach this not from a place of having an agenda, right, but just showing up and be willing to, and I'm again going to steal from Mary, the path of creativity and allowing, these conversations to unfold from a place of no agenda. We do, try to have some seed, but
we have a container, but not necessarily a tight structure to it. Yeah. Nicola, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I want to say something. I think this experience of the Alzheimer's of Mary, what does that say of the society in general? What does that show for us? We were on a journey of to-do lists, years and years, and schedules, and now this massive amount of Alzheimer's cases in society internationally here too. It's not only a US theme. What does that show to us? In fact, I love this experience that Mary makes, because it takes us exactly on the way you told 5 minutes ago, that we don't need to have an agenda. I think in a constructive way, we need to follow the flow of life. And in a creative way, the creative process could be the lifeline of our path, I think.
Yeah.
I like very much that you have this experience, Mary, and I like very much that you share it, because it's very, very special, and it opens my heart, and it's really nice to hear it. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad I did. It's like I wouldn't have imagined it. And if I plan to take some food for a meal, well, we don't know what's going to happen when I get there. Or maybe her boyfriend has taken her out to lunch that day. And she has a boyfriend who's 10 years older. She's 83. So they often go to lunch. And so then I plan for a meal. Well, forget that, right? So I just kind of go and say, oh, well, hi, how are you? And she smiles, and we're in that moment. And then what are we doing tonight? Or what are we doing today? And even the spontaneous, her boyfriend called, and we missed the call because we were coloring. So we were trying to get a hold of him, and anyway, we called him a little while later after she was done. This was another sort of that spontaneous. And what was interesting is I let them have their privacy talking on the phone, and she basically listens. He was a professor of fish biology or something, so he talks a lot, and she listens. And she was a charge nurse. She cares. And he has a heart condition, and she just listens. She doesn't say anything, but he knows she's there, and they love each other very much. So I didn't really hear what's going on. So I knew he was talking. This is about 20 minutes, I think. Oh, I was supposed to leave here like an hour ago, and here I still am. Okay. At first I thought that but she walked into the room with the phone and held it up so I could hear him. I don't know if you understand the meaning of that moment, but she let me in on the conversation because she knows I'm a healer. She knows that because she was, and she'll massage my back, or I'll massage her back, and then she says, no, me too, because she used to do that. I've never had that many little massages on my back in my life, and I was a massage person. So it's this give and take that happens. With the fact that she let me in on that conversation, she knew that somehow I would have something to say to him that would help him. She didn't say a word, but it turned out that happened in a private conversation. It was just, every day is just a rainbow of these possibilities. And I think it's exactly what you're sharing. I mean, it just, wow. Well, I don't know if it fell in my lap. I think this group and so on, the other things opened me to be much more and not planning, and so thank you.
I think that one thing that is really hard for families when a family member has Alzheimer's is because you lose what that person was to you, right? Like that the memories that you had shared, and that person is no longer who they were. And what is such a beautiful message that one you're showing is that you're coming in and meeting the person where they are and loving them unconditionally, and not comparing them to who they were or what you've lost. And that's such a beautiful metaphor for what we can do in life. And again, back to this beginner's mind, is that you're judging this present moment, not on the past and not on anything that's come before that, but you're standing in this moment, open-hearted, unconditionally willing to meet it where it is, and to go and to see either the person or the moment or yourself with where they are, as opposed to where they were or where you think they should be. And
excuse me.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, and some of the benefits of that, it's good you mentioned that about the family, because what the daughter, she's 4 hours away, but she's managing this, all of us doing this, and she thanks me every time I share some of these experiences, because that's not how she sees her mother. This is not how she sees the loss. But when she hears, today I'm going to tell her about how she went out to get the flowers so she could use the books that her daughter gave her more, to color the way she wanted. The other thing I just wanted to share is that this woman, Jane, she every day, almost all through the day, she has photos of her family all over. So her memories of her family, she shares the stories with me. And it's important for her to touch into that past, even though she's not there anymore. That connects her. It's like it's like a puzzle when I think of it. She's putting together in her mind something that feels good, and she shares it with me by talking about her. Oh, this is this. And she has this one story about pollywogs that every day she has to read it to me, that her grandson or her son had written when he was, I don't know, young anyway. So I learned at very young to listen to my grandfather and so on, and just listen to the stories that people tell. And it's not boring to me at all. It's like this rich tapestry, and she's putting a puzzle together every day. Her daughter's putting a new puzzle together with new information about what her mother's doing and thinking. And I'm sorry, I'm going on. I haven't talked to anybody about this. I've just been doing it. So, and
Well, again, like you're bringing up all the great words, like living your purpose is like putting this puzzle together, right? It's like all of your life experiences are pieces of the puzzle. And then you have the whole esoteric and spiritual pieces of the puzzle. And it really is about finding how those pieces work together. And that's what makes each one of us have our own distinctly unique purpose in the world, is because it is all those pieces of our past, pieces of our ancestral past, pieces of our cosmic past, and then, you know, however else, you know, you want to think about it. It's again, another great metaphor.
well, here's one more step with that. What do we do when puzzles that her daughter brought her, when we have them complete? She puts them back in the box complete, but then we dump the box out the next time. That's as you're talking, that's a very powerful thing. Are we willing, I think that's fitting with what you two shared, are we willing to take what puzzle we have all kind of boxed in, dump it out, and see if we can put it together again, or see if we find something new?
Absolutely. Yeah. Do the pieces go together in a new way?
Yeah.
I think too that it's important to let go of the past too. In fact, that's the thing I'm working on, because that takes this judgment out of my mind. I'm working on it. I'm not at the end out of it, but I think the now moment helps me to get away from these past memories and these judgment and these boxes perhaps where I put ideas in, or and lets me get more freedom in my thoughts too. And yes, wonderful.
Well, we're probably at or over time.
Yes.
And I just love this idea of this, you know, that we are all this puzzle. Purpose is a puzzle. And that
I'm really grateful. I'm grateful that I had someone to share this with, because mostly I've been living it, and it fits so well with what you were talking about. Thank you.
It's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you, Nicola, too. And thank you, April.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna.
You're so welcome.
Listen, we are way over time, and it's just, there's not really much of anything, but we've been putting together puzzles for the last couple of days. Like the girls and I will just, so we have, and I think we probably put together like 4 puzzles in the last like 2 days or something. And so it's just, I don't know, I guess just confirmation.
Yeah.
So,
Puzzle fever.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's such a great symbolism or metaphor, whatever you want to call it. It works.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very blessed. The turkeys were right. There's an abundance.
There is an abundance. Absolutely.
You're all part of it. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well,
until next time.
Weeks.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we had this time together. Do you all remember Carol Burnett?
Yes. We're going to have you sing the Obstacle Illusion theme song and closing song. Start practicing.
I'm going to go ahead.